Hello everybody, we are back for another video. It is finally June, which is, I feel like I say this every month, but I just feel like the months are going by so fast, but it's already June. So we are going to do a little recap of the month of May. I'm going to do books and some favorites in this one just because I don't have too much to say on the books, but we will start with the favorites. And that way, if you're not into the books, you can just end after that part, or if you're only here for the books, you can just skip to that instead. Okay, so the first thing I am mentioning as a favorite is going to be this candle. It's from the brand Airy. Scent is Nordic Cedar, and it is just such a nice, warm, cozy scent, and it really reminds me of just like being in a log cabin or going out for like a sauna, and it's just lovely. It has scents of cedar, cinnamon, pepper, and bergamot. It is a English brand. I also have, in addition to the candle, I have the reed diffuser, and I've tried quite a few reed diffusers, and a lot of them, they either just don't really cover the space super well or they just don't last very long, in my opinion. But this brand, if I walk out of the room and I come back in after a little while, I can definitely smell the Nordic cedar in there, and it's just nice to kind of fill your space with a nice scent. So that's been lovely. The second thing, which is on kind of a similar spectrum, is going to be this Gentle Habits. It's an incense oil, so I add this to the like water diffuser that I have, and this scent specifically is called Noosa, and it's mandarin, cypress, and patchouli. This is another just like a sweet, woody, warm scent, so you'll sense a theme here with the scents that I like, but this is just, it smells rich. It smells rich and luxurious, and another thing that I just love walking into a space and it smells nice. And actually they had this at the hair salon that I went to, and I immediately when I walked in I was like, what is that smell? I need it. And fortunately they sold it, and I love when a place like sells what they're using in the space as far as like candles or incense sticks. But this brand sells these oils. They also do sell incense sticks and cones, and I'm very curious to try some of their other scents. So I think I will do, they have discovery pack of their incense cones, so I think I would like to try that to see what else I like before buying, in case I don't like a scent. But this is an Australian brand, but you can get it wherever you are, and they're fairly affordable. Like when I walked in there, I definitely thought it was going to be way more expensive than it was, but it was £15, and you only need a couple of drops, especially with the water diffuser. So this is what it looks like out of the box. So Noosa. Oh, it just smells so good. Even Murphy loves this, and they do sell perfume oils as well, and he said that he would be into having this as a perfume oil, so that tells you anything. It's a good unisex smell. Continuing on the scents, I did mention these in our last video when we were in London, but I wanted to properly give it its moment here as well, and that is the brand Fleur. And the first scent, and the first one that I picked up is Soft Spot. And this one is a very like ambery, deep, sensual smell. Yeah, very ambery. I have the notes over here. So the top notes of this one are bergamot peel, mandarin, and freesia. The heart are jasmine petals, water lily, and vanilla orchid, and the base is amber, sandalwood, and musk. If I had to describe the general scents that I like, it's this, like very deep, like a lot of the sandalwood, vanilla, but like it's like that deeper vanilla, not like just a regular vanilla. I don't know, I'm terrible at describing scents, but I love this. I will say this is probably more of like a fall winter scent or like a date night out or something, I would say, but I am loving this. I'm already halfway gone, and honestly I might consider getting the full size of that one. But then the second one I have no idea where I've placed it, but I did talk about it before, and it's Father Figure. And that one is also kind of a sensual smell, but it's a little bit more fresh and green. So it's definitely like, if this is fall, winter, the Father Figure is like this, but more spring, summer. So the notes on that one are going to be, the top is water lily, lush fig, and cassis buds. The heart is orris root, iris flower, and jasmine dew. And then the base are skin musks, vanilla Madagascar, patchouli leaf, and sandalwood. So you can probably sense a theme with me is sandalwood, patchouli, like musky, woody. That's generally like my vibe, I guess. So I would definitely recommend. I had only just heard about that brand Floor when I went to Space NK like a month ago, and I just sat there for like 10 minutes like smelling all of the different ones, and Soft Spot and Father Figure were by far like out of the park compared to all of the other ones. So, and again, what I do like is when a brand sells travel size with the spray rather than the roller ball. Yeah, I will say it gets, I mean, you use a lot more quicker, but it's so worth it. So these are great, and then you don't have to like spend money on the big one if you're not sure. You can just get the travel size, and if you don't like it, it's not as big of a loss. So that was all of the scents covered. Now I have these sunglasses. These are from, oh, they're a bit dirty, but these are from And Other Stories. And I had been looking for kind of a shape like this with a lighter lens for a while that I could wear like even when it's not super sunny, because I have really sensitive eyes. And I just like these. I feel like I just look like automatically cooler in these. And yeah, they fit my face nice. I will say I have kind of a small nose bridge, so I do want to get like something to stick on here because they do kind of fall down my nose and I have to push them back up quite a bit. But I'm loving these, and they do have these same glasses with different color lenses. They have an orange, and I want to say they have a green as well. I really wanted an orange, but I just didn't feel like it went with my complexion very well. So the blue did it for me, and I'll maybe consider getting a green. I don't know, but love the blue. And Other Stories. One other clothing accessory thing I don't have with me right now because they're in the wash, but Lululemon just came out with their no line Align pants, which is the no front seam. So there's still the seam in the back, but there's no front seam, and I love them. I mean, they're everything we love about the Aligns, just with no front seam. So I mean, it can't get any better. But I do like that there's still the seam in the butt, you know, to just like hug your cheeks a little. But I've been loving them. I love the Aligns. I wish that they stayed as soft as they did the first few wears, but they've been lovely, and I would like my whole closet to be filled with those. So the last thing I wanted to mention is an app, and I feel like I mentioned this app years ago and I stopped using it, but Murphy and I got new Apple Watches recently, so I kind of wanted to try it out again. And the app is called Athlytic. It's essentially like the Aura ring, the Ultra Human ring, or like the Whoop bands. It basically takes all of your Apple Watch data and gives you the same data that those devices would give you. So for example, it tells you your recovery, your sleep energy, and your like exertion, and it takes all of like your heart rate data, your wrist temperature, your blood oxygen, all of that, and it analyzes over time and gives you data on how you should be performing, if you need rest, like all of that. So I just really like seeing the data, because then you kind of know if you're feeling off, like why you are, when to, you know, you can do more than you think you can do as far as like working out, when you should be taking like a step back, that sort of stuff. So I just really like this. I find it very interesting. Murphy and I have both been using it, and essentially like if you have an Apple Watch, or you've been intrigued by the Aura ring or all of that, it gives you basically that same data you utilized from your watch. Yeah, because I've been thinking about getting either the Aura or Ultra Human, but now that I have this, I won't, because also Aura, you have to also pay on top of the ring each month to access the data, which I think is kind of ridiculous. But Athletic, I'll link it below, and if you're into seeing your metrics and all of that, it's a good app. That is all for the favorites of May. Now I will just hop into the books quickly. This was a very Throne of Glass heavy month for me. As I mentioned last book recap, that I'm starting to reread Throne of Glass with my friend Kayla that I went to Iceland with. She's reading it for the first time, so I'm just rereading it because it's been a while, and it's my favorite of the Sarah J. Maas series. So we pushed through on 4 of those, so I only read one other book that was outside of that, so I'll just start with that one. I read Butterfly Garden by Dot Hutchison. I gave this book 3 stars, and it essentially follows a girl that had a rocky past, and she gets kidnapped at her work, and she's taken to what they call is the garden, and essentially the garden is where this older man and one of his sons, they have a bunch of women in the garden that they refer to as his butterflies, and he tattoos butterflies on their backs. That's how they're like known, is by their different butterflies. Basically the story just follows this girl and the experiences in the garden, and just the brutal and twisted things that the guy does to them, and their hopes and dreams, or lack thereof, of getting out of the garden. It's definitely a very dark and twisted book. It's not going to be for everybody, and I think it wasn't really for me, and I think that's why I didn't love it. It was also it was a little bit of a drag, and you kind of sort of expected what was going to happen in the end, but yeah, it just was a little bit too dark. Like, if I'm going to read dark, generally I want it to be a bit more like fantasy realm, so this was just a little bit much for me, so it's definitely going to be quite a triggering book for a lot of people, but that's kind of why I gave it 3 stars. And it does continue. There are other books from other of the girls in the garden point of view in different aspects of life, I guess, but I just didn't really enjoy this book enough to want to go out and read the other ones, so that's that. So then we'll move on to, I read 4 of the Throne of Glass books this month, and so I read the first one in April, so we're just moving right into the second one, which is Crown of Midnight. And this one I gave a 4.5 stars on this second read around, and obviously Throne of Glass was kind of like setting the scene for a lot of things, and also it's hard to get through when you know what's coming, so it's a bit slow in that respect. But this is after the first one, where she's now the king's assassin and she's going around doing his business, and more relationships are starting to form, and you're learning more and more about Selena's past and kind of the things that she starts plotting. So a lot is starting to come together in this one, which is why I gave this one 4.5 stars. I think before I gave it 4, so I think I raised it up a little bit because it is setting the scene for a lot that's about to happen. So then the next one is Air of Fire, and this one I gave 5 stars because, as you may know, this is the one where she goes to Wendlyn, where magic is still around, and she meets Rowan, and if you know, you know, he's the best, and that alone, I mean, it's hard not to, but Selena is finally kind of accepting herself as Aelin, or starting to, and just kind of going on that journey of her past and like what's going to be expected of her. She's learning how to use her magic, and we start to get a little bit of that sexual tension in there, and yeah, this one will always be just such a good one. So then we have Assassin's Blade. This one I gave 4 stars, which I feel like is kind of typical for like any sort of prequel book, but this is I think it's like 4 short-ish stories following Selena's past and just kind of the trials and tribulations she went through coming and being the assassin of Adarlan and under her master Arabin's rule, and kind of the gruesome things that she went through, and a lot of like heartbreak with like friendships and lovers and stuff like that. So obviously it's very crucial to read because you understand her as a person so much more in the later books. So it's really good. I actually read this the first time I read them. I don't feel any which way, I guess. I think I did actually like reading it first because you knew about her, and I think things clicked a lot sooner going into Throne of Glass, but I think it is recommended to read it, whatever it is, after Air of Fire. So then finally we go to, and I apologize for the way in which the state of this book is, but Queen of Shadows. When I first got these, one of the dogs that I was watching chewed it up, so we are missing some words here and there, but you know, we manage. But Queen of Shadows, 5 stars. When I was reading this, I was just like, I forgot how great this book is. It's so fast-paced. There's so many things happening. You really see how much of a plotter Selena is. Well, Selena Aylin is in her own mind, like not even telling people. She does jaw-dropping things in this book. It's just like, I totally forgot how much of a sleuth she is, and like doing things behind people's back to like get what she needs and help other people. It's just incredible. But also she's, you know, taking down so many different people in this, you know, from Arabin to the Valg soldiers to the King of Adarlan to getting her cousin out. Like there's just, I mean, this is a page turner through and through, front to back. It's so good. So 5 stars for this one for sure. And then lastly, I just wanted to quickly mention I did DNF a book, which like rarely happens for me. I feel like unless it's a really long book and it's just completely a drag, I don't usually DNF. But I did DNF the book Bewitched, and I had actually had this on my TBR for like a while, but it was a little bit shorter and it was on Kindle Unlimited, so I was like, okay, I'll just throw this one in there. I couldn't do it. I don't know. It was just like going around in circles. It was a bit immature to me. I didn't really like how the main character's personality was. It was just, it gave me the ick, if I'm completely honest. So unfortunately, that's why we've landed at 5 books as opposed to the 6 that I was hoping for. But it happens. Yes, Bewitched is not on the list. And I don't recommend. At the state of mind I was in, it wasn't doing anything for me, so that's that. But another great month of Throne of Glass, can't be mad at that, and I now have the remaining 3, and I'm actually doing the tandem read, which I didn't do before, of Tower of Dawn and Empire of Storms, so that's been interesting, and we're powering through that. So that is all I read in the month of May. Anyways, that concludes my reading recap and my favorites for the month of May. I hope you enjoyed, and let me know if you have any recommendations for any books moving forward, any good summer books. I definitely am open to something that feels summery, and also if you've tried any of these products that I loved this month, because I've certainly been loving them, and or if you pick up especially the perfumes. Seriously, I totally recommend them. But anywho, I will hopefully be back for a vlog next week, and I will see you then.